I want to finish on this note in terms of denazification. You said a little earlier in this interview, this is not going to be a quick and easy battle for Russia. They're going to be there for a while. What do you think it means to denazify Ukraine? How are they going to go about that? How long do you think that's going to take?
Well, that's a political question, and only the Russians can answer that. I mean, I have my own personal opinion of what denazification would require, and I use Russian statements to guide me. There's zero tolerance for neo-Nazi ideology, zero. And I believe the Russian government recognizes that right-wing nationalism is the same thing as neo-Nazi ideology. That, you know, if you're a member of Svoboda and the right sector, you're as bad as a fighter in the Azov regiment or any of the other neo-Nazi affiliated military formations. So I also think we have to, as the Russians have said, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. So where in the past, I think the Russians would have accepted, for instance, in the Ukrainian military, troops to stay in the barracks and the Russian troops simply get rid of all the equipment that NATO provided. I think that's over. I think the Ukrainian military has to be disbanded, and whatever is going to be a Ukrainian military down the road has to be reconstituted from the ground up with zero neo-Nazi influence, zero nationalist, Western Ukrainian nationalism, and anybody joining has to be carefully vetted to make sure they don't have any Nazi ideology. If you simply allow the military to continue to exist as it is, you're letting the Nazis stay in power. The same thing with the government. Zelensky has proven himself to be totally beholden to the Nazis. I don't think he can survive this politically. Definitely his government and the Ukrainian parliament has to be dissolved. When a parliament votes to make Stepan Bandera a national hero, parliament has lost all credibility. So, and this means total defeat of Ukraine, total defeat of Ukraine. And it also means, frankly speaking, I mean, this is my fantasy of victory for the Russians, but it means that at some point in time, there's a ceremony in Lvov where the Ukrainians have erected a statue of Stepan Bandera, and that statue is blown up symbolically, just like the United States blew up the swastikas at Nuremberg, the big Nuremberg Stadium. Blow it up, man. Blow it up. It's done. Hunt down all the monuments been put up to the Waffen SS, to the Ukrainian membership, any Ukrainian Nazi. Those eradicate. Denazification means just that. You need to denazify everything. And I think the Russians early on had the Ukrainians played ball, or not got caught up in this NATO-driven conflict to bleed Russia dry. I think Russia might not have gone to such extreme levels. Right now, I think Russia sacrificed too much, and I don't think the Russian people will tolerate any termination of this conflict that has the root evil that's present surviving. So I think that while the destruction of the Ukrainian military is going to happen sooner rather than later, and I'll tell you another reason why I don't think you can tolerate a Western Ukrainian rump state or something like that hasn't been denazified, because they're receiving a lot of weapons. And we talked about this. And in the short term, those weapons can't be absorbed properly. They can't be maintained. There's not training. But if you have a long enough operational pause, the Ukrainians can reconstitute their military. It can become a credible fighting force in a very short period of time. And then Russia's going to have to do this all over again. But this time there might be NATO strings attached. That Russia has defined a conflict that it has to win. It can't stop until the victory is total. So I personally believe that while the defeat of the Ukrainian army in the east and perhaps in the south will happen in the next month or so, that the long-term denazification is going to be longer. It's going to be it involves the complete erasure of this right-wing neo-Nazi ideology from Ukraine.